I'm right here representing the GROW Consortium, which is hosting Kasia's residency. And the GROW is one of the 4 Horizon 2020 Citizen Observatory projects concerned with remote sensing and Earth observation. And the consortium, which has 18 partner organizations, spans soil and satellite scientists, permaculturalists, international institutions and community growing activists. And we have some very large-scale ambitions with the project, and they're in 2 principal areas. One is to generate significant citizen contribution to the scientific challenge of validating soil moisture mapping data that's gathered by satellites through the use of low-cost soil moisture sensors. And the other is to work with existing and new growers to build communities in real life and online to extend citizen science practices and spread regenerative practices to restore soil, and through those practices generate data for science. So we were interested in hosting a Vertigo residency to apply artistic curiosity, inquiry to science, technology, and data, and then translate data into experiences. Fundamentally, for me, GROW is about creating connections. So I've been supporting Kasia in this residency by making connections between her and the different teams in the project, bringing her into the consortium. So, yes.
And so, yes, my name is Kasia Molga, and I am a design fusionist, and I kind of work on the intersection of art, designs, technology, and science. And I'm interested in probing emerging tech and see how they alter our perception and relation to environment and nature. And in particular, I am interested in environmental data, that is signal from entities which kind of constitute the life on this planet. And I like to hack and appropriating this tech to build new connections and direct our kind of attention from the usual self or human-centered realm to execute this idea of collaboration with nature. And naturally, GROW in that respect was a perfect kind of match for me, and I've been very much interested in soil and GROW practices. To the collaboration, I invited a fellow artist, amazing sound artist, Robin Rimbaud, aka Scanner, and our initial proposal was called Ode from the Dirt. And we were interested in using this gigantic amount of data which GROW has access to, that is the data from the satellites and also data from ground sensors, and probably using some kind of a machine learning algorithm to help us create this kind of audiovisual sculptures which would become a beacon of soil conditions from around the area. Very little have I known. Today, however, what I want to talk to you about is not the actual outcome, but the process. So basically, I've been, within this residency, I've been working on it for the last 7-8 months, and it's still big time work in progress. And just after the initiation meeting, which we had with Vertigo partners and GROW partners, I started getting all the documentations, and also I started talking to scientists and growers and technologists and project leaders, and I realized that the initial idea which I have had became pretty much irrelevant. The one important thing, or very interesting thing, was that a lot of people had a problem with the word dirt. And so dirt for me was a slang word, which was kind of a sort of provocation about how people usually, especially city dwellers, perceive soil. For scientists, however, especially scientists from GROW, dirt means a dead matter, which is unnecessary matter in something which is very living, very vibrant, and very amazing, which is soil. And so I started looking first at how other people, how we all perceive soil. The first thing you do, you obviously Google soil and see what are the definitions, and they're really beautiful. And then I started looking at Instagram, for example, and trying to see how people picture soil. And so you get lots of photos of gardens, of fields, of food. For some reason, 10% of these photos, they are plantation of hemp. Go figure. Mm-hmm. For me, soil is a hyperobject, and it's why in my title there is this kind of daily struggle with hyperobject. So hyperobject is the concept coined by Timothy Morton, which is something so big, it's such a big concept that human brain is not capable to kind of comprehend it at once. And for scientists from GROW, soil is a friend, a living organism, something which can make us and break us, or technology, itself. In GROW, we have access to two type of data. One data is the one which you have to imagine, that terabytes of satellite imagery, based on which we can probably assess the moisture of the surface of the planet. And then another set of data is coming from this sensor called flower power. GROW has 15,000 of them, and idea is that they will be distributed across Europe. They will be given to different growers, so that the growers, they will use it to collect the data, upload it to GROW database, and then scientists will use it to validate the satellite data. And I personally am interested what is in between. So what is in between the kind of micro and macro. So when I came to the project, the first thing which I wanted to know is what is this data from the ground, from flower power, and I wanted to see whether I can find some correlations or dependencies, and whether I can, see whether there is some kind of narrative which I can, start working with. At the very beginning, the data wasn't even available. But I had some sample data sets, and also I've been working with Thinkful, which is the IoT platform which provided API for data collection for GROW. However, there was no interface to plot the data, so I did something for myself, in order for me to see it. I just wrote a little software to make a graphs. And apparently, I became an alpha user, and now it will be part of the interface which GROW is going to be using to collect the data. The most important thing, however, for GROW is the GROW is not only about the digital data, but most importantly, it is about people. The motto, soil connectivity, means connecting people, communities with science through citizen observatory concept and extremely important issues of present times. So part of the residency for me was to grow to one or two of these GROW places, and recently I've been to Greece. And I met local growers. I could collect data sets which are not available through digital or any other technology, such as, for example, texture, or the reasons why people join the movement, or crops, or the past crops, or how many people can benefit from produce from the certain land. And together, that together with the soil moisture data is kind of building a really amazing picture and amazing story about soil and about land and our attitudes to it. There is also, of course, within all of that, there is supposed to be this kind of innovation part. But I strongly believe that innovation is not going to happen if we don't make it relevant and if we don't make human connections. So this human connection is extremely important here. And so afterwards, when I came back from Greece, I also realized that the innovation or the new ideas, they will never happen unless, I can destroy my own preconceptions, or I can kind of put myself outside my comfort zone, and that has been happening for the last few months. When I came back from Greece, I kind of realized I've been struggling to make a meaningful connection between technology, the people, and organic, powerful, vibrant matter, which is soil. And I questioned whether data provided in binary way can ever reflect or convey the complexity of the whole huge subject. And here is, you don't have to read it actually, in detail, but it's my last mind map. I did, quite a few of them, trying to kind of get my head around all these subjects, which are, equally important, and I'm very passionate. I feel very passionate about it. And, now I kind of feel I'm going into two very important directions. One is to look at soil as a system or technology on its own, and use and kind of asking a question how to express live physical soil via digital means. So together with Scanner, we revisited our kind of initial idea, and one of the concepts which we are working right now is we are making an online network distributed data manifestation, which will be kind of audiovisual disruptions. It might or might not result in from some sort of machine learning or another algorithm to help us go and understand this gigantic amount of data. And another threat.
I'm curious about creating a work that's using an immersive use of sound, in using binaural sound particularly. I want an audience to feel as actually they physically have a connection with the soil, and not just through an artistic experience, but through a very immersive, connected experience.
In terms of my added value to grow, I will let Feimatta finish off.
So I'll just finish off by saying how we think that Grow might use the outcomes of the residency, the artworks that Kasia is creating. I think there'll be a really powerful engagement tool for bringing people into the expanding community of growers, learning about new sustainable practices and generating data. I think it's a really beautiful way of manifesting a real-time connection, like you said, between the macro and the micro. And I think fundamentally, it'll build an embodied understanding, both digitally and physically, of the vital importance of soil and how it connects us and actually how it sustains all of life on Earth. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.